And we're live, and we've got
Absolutely.
lovely Dee Blackie here who's going to talk to us while I do an art tutorial and show you how to design a superhero for this awesome charity, Dee, called Courage. And while I start to do some sketching and designing, I want you obviously to talk about the charity. And there's the link with more
Absolutely.
information. But also, I want you to stop me if there's something you want to add to the drawing or to not to add to the drawing. So just tell me what sort of
Okay.
character, why you want an empowering character, superhero for your website.
So, the amazing thing about Courage is when I was doing all my research, trying to understand what was happening in child protection in South Africa, was I asked everyone, the police officers, the social workers, the nurses, the doctors, the community members, even the children, and I said, what do you need more of when you're trying to deal with all these child protection challenges and all the trouble that we see happening with children in South Africa? What if you could take a pill of something that would help you do what you do and to protect children more? What would it be? And they all said courage. And I realized at that point that courage and personal empowerment was what would create community empowerment. And really, courage is about community empowerment. It's empowering communities to try and understand and deliver against the rights and needs of children. So empowerment is very much our philosophy, but it's also very practically what we do with the program is we empower both children and child protection officers and communities to try and address the challenges that they see, which are often terrifying. I mean, they often really are quite challenging. So we need to give them that sense that they are superheroes, which I guess is why the superhero analogy kind of came through.
Okay, well, wow.
Um,
Fantastic. And so I think one of the things about superheroes, and I'm doing a rough here for you because obviously we know superheroes as men and women with lots of muscles. So we,
yes,
if we're
yes.
designing this superhero, let's say, and I'm just going to do that wonderful traditional hairstyle like you would see in Black Panther for you, for the ladies. Um,
Perfect. I find that was probably my favorite superhero movie was Black Panther. It was amazing because I think superhero movies are quite popular in South Africa, but when Black Panther came on, you could not get into a movie theater for love nor money in that first weekend. In fact, everyone called it Black Panther Friday. So it
it
was just amazing
was.
how for the first time those sort of superhero characters really did start to appeal to a multinational and sort of interracial community, which was fantastic. Oh, that's looking fab, Andy. I love it.
I mean, being in a cinema in Johannesburg, it was like a party, wasn't it? And
Completely.
it was
You
just,
dressed up.
and they do.
I must say, I dressed up. My kids dressed up. We all dressed up.
Oh dear, I know.
It's like one of those hashtags. What are you wearing?
You love a good dress up. Now, let's get back to the business of
Absolutely.
your hero character. Now, I wanted to show you a little rough because it's very important to break down the brief when you're designing something. So, as we can see
Right.
here, that we don't want a child with big muscles because that'll just be weird. It's what I always call you have to have a story. So um, we know that we want to figure
No,
out
so
what
it needs to be accessible.
yeah, and what age do we want the child? So just give me a few hints on that. What sort of age group are
I
we?
think so. I run a lot of workshops with sort of teenagers in high school, specifically around helping them to address the child protection challenges that they experience and that they see around them in their communities. And I probably have kind of the penny really drops with the sort of grade 10, 11, 12s. So
Okay.
sort of 16, 17, 18. So these are not little kids. These are kids who are empowered to actually make a difference in their own lives. But I agree with you. You kind of don't want them too muscle bound. It needs to be accessible, and they need to be able to see themselves in the picture.
And they certainly don't want to be under pressure to go to the gym because a lot of young teenagers. So we're talking grade 10 is what age, just for the audience, because this is going to go global.
So sort of 16, 17, 18, thereabouts.
Okay, so we're looking at 16 years, and this is good for anyone that wants to become an artist. And the way I'm breaking down the brief, because it really is a action hero, you think, brilliant, but are these little nuances. And luckily we had a chat. We had a chat earlier where we were talking about hairstyles, and obviously very important for a 16-year-old. And I'll do two heroes for you. So let's concentrate on the girl, the teenager. So hair is a big deal. We want to look gorgeous. So you were saying there's this beautiful hairstyle where it's lots of tight knots. Is that what would you call that hairstyle?
Yeah. I mean, I think what's amazing about the new Miss Universe, obviously being a South African, she's just incredible because she's just embraced her natural hair, and it just made such a statement. And it's one of those things, if a young girl sees somebody wearing beautiful natural hair and embracing her sort of her God-given beauty, as opposed to trying to fit into other preconceived ideas of what that beauty should look like, for me that's incredibly empowering. So what we were chatting about was just how amazing it was in Black Panther that they really did embrace natural African hair and how it should look and how it can be sort of crafted to really just make such an amazing statement. Because I think that's what I was sort of after. So
didn't the costume designer the costume designer won an Academy Award?
She did. She actually won multiple awards and what was amazing was how she kind of reinterpreted very traditional African sort of cultural dress from various tribes. So whether it was the Xhosa tribe or the Basotho from Lesotho, who were with the rhinos, with the blankets. She took elements of different kinds of different tribes, different people, their different sort of kinds of dress and wear and design, and she brought that aesthetic into all the different tribes, which was just, I mean, the detailing was just incredible.
Yeah. Okay. So what's good here is that Dee and I had a little tiny 5-minute chat beforehand, and there are these wonderful designs that were in the Black Panther movie that we can add to your action hero, a superhero. But the other thing is that you are very allowed as an artist to borrow ideas. So you're a plagiarist if you copy someone exactly, but you're a genius in art if you copy from everyone. So I'm just going to...
That's the purest form of flattery.
And there's design here. It's very, very simple. It goes around the eyes. Does that appeal to you for your action hero rather than your superhero? Sorry.
Yeah, that's very much a Xhosa tradition. It's a Xhosa tradition. So actually using paints on your face. I mean, in South Africa, you have a number of different people, number of different tribes, but the most dominant tribe is sort of a group of people made up of the Xhosa, the Zulu, and the Swazi. And in terms of numbers, they are a huge proportion of our population, followed by the Sotho and the Tswana and but that face painting, which is very much linked to cultural traditions and special traditions especially, and they imbue power onto people. So whether you're getting married or you are celebrating something important, you would dress for the occasion, and that would be part of the process.
Okay.
Obviously, you being a sort of scholar of anthropology, the culture of this country, I adore the culture of this country. I mean, it's just so rich. I always wish when you go to Paris, they've got a beautiful fashion museum, and I always wondered why we never had a fashion museum in South Africa to celebrate all of the the different cultures and clothing and beadwork and so on that we have here, which is incredibly rich.
Oh yes, and colorful, and that's the next thing I'd like to. Obviously, this is a rough, but there's this amazing red color. I'm just going to put that in here. Again, stealing from Black Panther. How do you feel about this sort of red with the logo? So I'm just going to find your logo here. Hold on a second. I'm just going to cut it out.
So I guess courageous colors, you can sort of see them behind me. We're all about purple and yellow, but I do like red. It's an incredible wake up color.
Okay.
So if you can sort of incorporate the red with the purple and the yellow, that would be awesome.
Okay. So now we're getting there. I'm going to take this image. Let me just take this image that we've got here. Copy all. I'm just going to move everything a little bit out. And what have we got? I can hear little sounds coming on. That people are writing in, but of course people can write in. Dee, did you tell any of your friends that you're live doing a live logo design?
I certainly shared it quite widely on Facebook, and we have a lot of followers at Courage on Facebook.
Okay, good.
So I'm hoping that a few of them are looking out, and we have a wonderful community. We call it the Courage Community, and we have a lot of coaches who use the Courage Toolkit and the Courage material to go into communities to assist them with empowering whoever it is that they're chatting to. So one fantastic organization is called Fight with Insight, and they do boxing in the inner city and all over at various schools around the country. And they use Courage to talk to people about sort of empowered coaching and ensuring that children are know their rights and are protected in the context of sports coaching and so on. So we've got a very wide community. I like to think of Courage as like the Intel inside of child protection. So instead of increasing your processing power like Intel does, it improves your courage and gives you the power you need to actually deal with the challenges that you engage with. Yeah. So it's very much powered by courage.
Well,
or empowered by courage.
Well, that's wonderful. And if anyone wants to write in and make a suggestion for this superhero, that would be more than welcome. I'm now going to, as you can see, we're starting to get the character with the face, beautiful traditional paintings on the face, the logo. Do you like the logo there? Do you want...
But I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking we should just have the heart with the little, I don't know if you've seen, but the heart is obviously a smile, a C turned upside down. So it's sort of got courage in it.
Okay.
And I think it might look nicer with without the yellow and just the purple heart on the red. I think that would look beautiful.
You don't want the yellow anywhere?
No, you can bring the yellow in as the cloak or something.
What a brilliant idea. Let's do that. And so I will do, so now we've got a really good idea. I just need I'm such a tidy nut. I'm going to just tidy up this line, which is bothering me. We're getting a really good idea of how our girl character is going to look. And let me just raise that up there. Should we? No. Okay. So I'm just going to bring that back down again. So we've got the neck dress, the logo, the yellow cape. Let me just put that in. And this is just a note, basically. So I'm just going to, oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong, I need this to behave. The technology isn't always your best friend. So I'm thinking this is the yellow.
It looks pretty impressive, Andy.
Does it?
I say.
Great.
Very.
Well, I'm very glad about that. Okay, so we now got our yellow, and let's start on our final character, I think. So I'm going to start anew. This sounds crazy. And we're going to do the whole character. Um, I'm going to ask you more questions about your wonderful charity. Can you give us some numbers
Okay.
on the? I know I've learned enough about from reading about your charity that this it says 3,800 a year of children that are looking for adoption.
That's just child abandonment. Yeah.
Child abandonment. Yeah.
So I got into child protection specifically from the area of child abandonment. I saw a picture of a baby who'd been abandoned, and I was very upset. And so that was very much my starting point. Was and that is very much the sort of almost first step in child abuse, neglect, or exploitation. It's when a child is actually just often the result of a third trimester late abortion, and the mum gives birth and leaves the child, and they literally have, they're prim, they are struggling, and they're left in very unsafe spaces. And often, it's because people are desperate. So at desperate times, if you can't take care of yourself, it feels almost impossible to take care of a child. So I feel huge compassion for these mums, but it is an indicator of the level of trauma that many of the children in South Africa start their lives with. They are compromised because they're born premature, they are left on a street corner or in a bathroom, in a toilet, in a latrine, and we expect them to then grow up to be fine human beings, and that's challenging. It's very challenging because it leads to lots of issues. And I guess really child protection is about three things. It's about protecting children from neglect, so being left from being abused and from being exploited.
Yeah.
And so although I started in the world of abandonment, I now work across all of those different areas. So neglect is, for instance, abandonment, but it's also things like not taking care of a child, leaving a child, in a home without care, not feeding a child properly or giving them medical attention or taking them to school. It's all of those things. Abuse obviously is the plethora of physical, emotional, sexual abuses that happen to children. And then exploitation is things like using children and trafficking children, sex trafficking, pornography, those sorts of issues. And I think what's different about Courage, most child protection organizations and solutions very much focus on the problem. So they will have a trafficking solution, or they will have a solution for children who've been abused, or they'll have a solution for children who are suffering from malnutrition, or for children who are HIV positive, or who have psychological kind of challenges or whatever. What Courage does is it puts the child in the center and says, well, hang on a second, what happens if this child was abandoned and then grew up in an institution and maybe lived on the street and didn't really have proper meals, so started suffering from malnutrition, never really had access to medical care, had been sexually abused, possibly fallen pregnant as a young teen. How do we build a solution around that child, as opposed to saying, okay, well, you've got these problems, we'll put you into that solution. So Courage very much empowers community members to look at the child and say, what's happening in your world? Or looking at the community and saying, what are the key challenges happening around our community? Because the problem in South Africa is we have so many challenges. And what we tend to do is go, oh my goodness, there's too much, I can't make stand. And we kind of sit in the shock and denial space. And we never really go to awareness and acceptance and understanding, and then saying, okay, so it's happening. This is why it's happening. This is where it's happening. What kind of solutions can we implement to actually solve this problem?
Yeah.
And of course, in South Africa, the big challenge is we keep reducing investment in social development programs, in child development programs. And so the result is that if communities want to solve these problems, they have to solve them themselves. They can't call on the Department of Social Development, which is essentially just a glorified grant payer. There's no solutions are going to come from that space. So my focus with Courage is to give communities the tools they need to actually solve the problems themselves. And that's really what I try to do. And we do it at an individual level, so helping people sort through their own challenges, at a family level, and then obviously at a community level. And some of the most amazing workshops I've run have been with young teenagers, as I've mentioned, who are dealing with all sorts of issues. And they're dealing with it not just in the home or in their community, but in the school environment, where they are being subjected to corporal punishment, discrimination, abuse, and the challenges of social media, depression and anxiety that comes along with that. So giving those kids the tools to be able to say, how can I think about this differently, and how can I help my friends, and how can we work together as a community? I mean, one story kind of really springs to mind is this one group of kids who'd been experiencing really bad corporal punishment and abuse from the teachers, and this young group of young girls came up with this idea of maybe they should show their teachers love, and that would encourage their teachers to show them love. And so it was love your teacher and they will love you. And it was incredibly powerful that the leadership that we need in this country and in these communities is in fact coming from the children, coming from the superheroes that you're drawing for us now.
And they are superheroes. I mean, what they, they're young and they're teenagers and they're struggling. I know I've got boys at home that are teenagers, and there's a lot that they're having to deal with. Just being teenagers. It's wonderful to hear that story about them taking control and telling the teachers how to show love. Really. And it's very empowering. I love that. That's a wonderful story. Not story, I mean description. And I've just got to make sure I'm making this poor hero buck teeth, and we don't want to do that. Let me just.
That's okay. I've got buck teeth. That's not a bad thing.
There is nothing wrong with buck teeth. Yeah. Okay, so I've now got the our first character. Is she okay? How are we feeling about that?
She looks fantastic. She looks absolutely fantastic. Are you going to do the rest of her outfit in red as well?
Absolutely. If that's what you want, I'm going to do red.
No. I think I would be. Ooh, sorry. I'm just losing my.
I love that.
I'm so excited. I'm bashing my machine.
So this red is this is great. So you're very happy with the red. So I will just do that.
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, we like bright colors. Can't go wrong there. Okay. And I'm just coloring in. And I was just thinking of things like Wonder Woman has these bulletproof wristbands. Where she gets a lot of her force from, her energy. Do you want those gold as well? We could change those to a gold.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
We could put a symbol.
Create a bit of contrast, or even purple, because it's coming from the heart. The heart.
Okay.
Maybe purple would be great. The same as the courage heart.
Let me do that. Purple. We could do this all day, by the way. It's such fun just coloring in.
Absolutely, I'm loving it.
And we could make it more realistic, but I'm just keeping it simple and clear. And shall we do purple boots?
Yeah, I think that sounds fabulous. I know you asked me, about sort of those the graphics in our existing, because it's a picture-based training program, and we do focus on pictures with Courage because we have 11 official languages and probably more like 12 spoken languages and probably various dialects in between that. So running workshops across communities in South Africa, you need a language to engage with people where everybody can be involved. And the great thing about Courage is having turned this whole world of child protection and the various challenges that exist in our communities into graphics and pictures, very simple graphics and pictures, has really made it so accessible to people. So, they say a picture tells 1,000 words. To be pictures of young South Africans is just awesome.
Well, that's. I hope this is what you were, volunteering to come live on the art tutorial. I hope this has answered your brief. And now I don't think you're getting. Now, we forgot to ask you if you had a pen and paper. I don't know if you got anything on your desk right now. Have you got anything? I'm going to play a
I
little.
do. No, I do.
Well
I do.
done.
A very efficient producer told me to have one.
Oh, fantastic. So we're going to do Batman, and we're going to keep it super simple.
Okay.
And anyone watching, please join in. It's very, very simple, and it's a fun way to get people to have a go drawing and realizing how to empower yourself with a pen. So, oops, I'm seeing that the internet's unstable. That could be my son getting back on a computer game. So I just want you
to with the superheroes we've been talking about.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Now I've done a little V on its side, okay, and then I want you to do another V on this side. And then
wait, I'm going to wait and see Victor.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of a delay on Facebook, but basically you want to do 2 V's with a gap. And these are V's, sorry, upside down V's.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, and then I just want you to gently connect them at the top. And it can be a flat line or a slight curved shape.
Okay.
And then I want you to take a triangle, but on its side. Does that make sense? And then do one facing the other way. So one's falling to the left and one triangle's falling to the right. And then we're going to do a sort of upside down V, slightly further down.
Okay.
Not upside down V, upside down, a very wide V, sorry. 2 lines on either side. And then another bigger V. All right.
Okay.
And then we want to put a line across, because Batman's a bit miserable, and then a little line. That's his bottom lip. And if you can go back up to his right ear, so on the left-hand side, and draw a straight line down and go slightly on a curve out. And then we're going to do the same on the other side. I'm having technical issues, but this is live and everybody loves it. Live is fun. And now we're going to do the same on the other side. And then a slight curve out. And a big U to go to complete the mask. And I'm hoping that anyone watching and thinking about starting art will do this and go, hey, that wasn't too bad. And Dee, now you need to show us.
No, it's pretty straightforward.
It's pretty straightforward. But it really is Batman. That's all you need to do. Okay. Wow. Hold that still.
No, it's amazing.
That is fantastic. Fantastic. Well done, Dee. And we're going to call it...
You've got snappy, squiffy kitty cat kids.
Brilliant. Dee, I'm so chuffed that you talked about your charity. I'm hoping that people will log on to the Courage link, learn more, do more, get involved. You are fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the tutorial. And we'll.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Dee, you're wonderful. Take care, everyone.
And you'll send me my superhero pics, please.
Oh yes, I'll email that to you.
And I'll share them with all of my Courage coaches.
Fantastic. Oh, I'd be honoured. Thank you, Dee, and take care.
Thanks. This is so fun. I really appreciate it.
Great. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.